Hello, welcome back to the brand new session of EC Council Certified Ethical Hacking Program. In this session, we are going to discuss about enumeration. This is module number 4. Please make sure, and it is enumeration. Enumeration means deep scanning. So let's have a look into the learning objective. So in the previous module, you learned about the footprinting and network scanning. So this module covers the next phase, that is enumeration. So we start with an introduction to enumeration concepts. Then subsequently, the module provides insight into the different techniques for network basic input-output system, that is NetBIOS, simple network management system, that is SNMP, lightweight active directory access protocol, or you can say lightweight directory access protocol, that is LDAP, then NTP for network time protocol, NFS network file system, SMTP, that is simple mail transfer protocol, DNS domain name system, internet protocol security, that is IPsec, voice over internet protocol, that is VoIP, remote procedure call, RPC, Linux Unix telnet file transfer protocol, that is FTP, then TFTP, tribal FTP, that means tribal file transfer protocol. Then we will also discuss server message block, that is SMB, internet protocol version IPv6. Then in fact we will also discuss about the border gateway protocol enumeration. So this module ends with an overview of enumeration countermeasures. So at the end of this module, we will be able to describe enumeration concept. We can learn the different techniques for NetBIOS enumeration, SNMP enumeration, LDAP and Active Directory enumeration, NTP enumeration, NFS enumeration, SMTP and DNS enumeration. We can also learn about the enumeration techniques such as IPsec, VoIP, RPC, Linux Unix, Telnet, FTP, TFTP, SNB, IPv6, BGP enumeration, and we can also apply the enumeration countermeasures. So let's have a quick overview about the enumeration. So different section of this module will deal with the enumeration of different services and ports. So before discussing the actual enumeration process, we can go through the actual concept related to the enumeration. So what is an enumeration? So enumeration is the process of extracting username, machine names, network resource, shares and services from a system of network. In the enumeration phase, an attacker creates active connection with the systems and sends directed to the queries to gain more information about the target. So the attacker uses the information collected using enumeration to identify vulnerabilities in the system security, which helps them exploit the target system. In turn, enumeration allows the attacker to perform password attacks to gain unauthorized access to information system resources, and enumeration techniques works in an intranet environment. So in the particular, enumeration allows the attacker to collect the some information like network resources, network shares, routing tables, audit service settings, SNMP and fully qualified domain name details, or maybe machine names, users groups and application and banners. So during the enumeration, attackers may stumble upon a remote inter-process communication, that is IPC, or you can say IPC share, right, such as IPC in Windows, which they can probe further to connect to administrative shares by brute forcing admin credentials and obtain complete information about the file system listing that the share represents. So if I just talk about the previous module, so the previous modules highlighted how attackers gathered necessary information about a target without any illegal activity. So, however, enumeration activities may be illegal depending on the organization policies and the laws that are in effect. But an ethical hacker or pen tester should always acquire proper authorization before performing an enumeration. Okay, so let's discuss about techniques for enumeration. So extract username using email IDs. That is a first technique for enumeration. So every email address contains two parts, a username and a domain name. So in the format username at the rate domain name, so the username, obviously you should be available, or you should be aware about the what exactly in email address will be the username and what will be the domain name, right? So you should be aware about that. The second information which you can get, the extract information using default passwords. So many online resources provide a list of default passwords assigned by manufacturers to their products. Users often ignore recommendations to change the default username and passwords provided by the manufacturer or developer of a product. So this eases an attacker's task of enumerating and exploiting the target system. Third is brute force Active Directory. So Microsoft Active Directory is susceptible to username enumeration at the time of user supplied input verification. So this is the design error in the Microsoft Active Directory implementation. If a user enables the logon hours feature, then all the attempts at a service authentication result in different error messages. So attackers takes advantage of this to enumerate valid usernames. An attacker who succeeds in extracting the valid usernames can conduct a brute force attack to crack the respective passwords. Then next is extract information using DNS zone transfer. Yeah. So the network administrator can use DNS zone transfer to replicate DNS data across several DNS servers or backup DNS files as well. For this purpose, the administrator needs to execute a specific zone transfer request to the name server. And let's consider if the name server permits zone transfer, then it will convert all the DNS names and IP addresses hosted by that particular server to ASCII text. And if the network administrator did not configure the DNS server properly, then the DNS zone transfer can be an effective method to obtain information about the organization's network. So this information may include list of all the names, hosts, subzones, and related IP addresses. So the user can perform DNS zone transfer using NS lookup and dig commands. Next is extract user groups from Windows. So to extract the user group from Windows, the attacker should have a registered ID as a user in the Active Directory. So the attacker can then extract the information from groups in which the user is member by using the Windows interface or command line method. Last but not the least, extract usernames using SNMP. So attackers can easily guess read-only or read-write community strings by using the SNMP application programming interface, that is API, to extract the username. Next is services and ports to enumerate. So transmission control protocol and user datagram protocol manage data communications between terminals in a network. So the TCP is a connection oriented protocol capable of carrying messages or emails over the internet. So it provides a reliable multi-process communication service in a multi-network environment. So the features and functions of the TCP include the following options, like supports acknowledgement for receiving data through a sliding windows acknowledgement system. Maybe it may offers automatic retransmission of lost or acknowledged data. It may allow addressing and multiplexing of the data. Then the connection can be established, managed, or terminated. Maybe offers quality of service retransmission should be there. Offers congestion management and the flow control. So UDP is a connectionless protocol that carries short messages over computer network, and it provides an unreliable service. So the application UDP includes audio streaming, maybe video conferencing and teleconferencing, you can say, right? So these kind of options which we may have, right? Then as I have told you, that services and TCP UDP ports that can be enumerated, including the TCP UDP 53, right, which is a DNS zone transfer. Then TCP UDP 135 Microsoft RPC endpoint mapper, UDP 137 NetBIOS name service, TCP 139 NetBIOS session service, SMB or maybe and NetBIOS, right? TCP UDP 445, or you can say SMP over TCP, right? Which is a direct host, you can say UDP 161, simple network management protocol, TCP UDP 389, TCP 2049, TCP 25, SMTP or something like that, TCP UDP 162. So there are a list, right? There is a list which you can have a look into my this particular presentation. Okay, so let's have a quick overview. Let's have a look into the quick overview of some enumeration techniques which we had in the our previous slides. So first is NetBIOS enumeration. So this section will describe NetBIOS enumeration, the information obtained, and the various NetBIOS enumeration tools. Actually, NetBIOS is considered first for enumeration because it extracts a large amount of sensitive information about the target network, such as users and network shares. So the first step in enumerating a Windows system is to take advantage of NetBIOS API. And NetBIOS was originally developed as an API for client software to access the local area network, that is LAN resources, and Windows uses NetBIOS for file, or you can say printing sharing, right? So the NetBIOS name is Unix 16 character ASCII string assigned to Windows system to identify network device over TCP IP. And um, this is 15 characters are used for device name, and the 16th will be reserved for the service or record type. NetBIOS uses UDP port 137, that is name service, obviously UDP port 138, that is datagram service, TCP port 139, session service. Attackers usually target the NetBIOS service because it is easy to exploit and run on Windows system even when not in use. So attackers use NetBIOS enumeration to obtain some information like the list of computers that belongs to a domain, the list of shares of on the individual host in the network, and policies and passwords as well. So the attacker who finds a Windows system with port 139 open, they can check to see which resources can be accessed or viewed on a remote system. However, to enumerate the NetBIOS names, the remote system must have enabled file and printer sharing. So NetBIOS enumeration may allow an attacker to read or write to remote computer system depending on the availability of shares or launch a DOS attack. Well, the best part to understand NetBIOS enumeration or whatever the enumeration technique will be there. So the best part is to learn these particular techniques, have an hands-on demonstration. So that will give you the exact clarity that what we are doing and why we are doing. So as we are just having a quick overview about the theoretical session of the enumeration, so I just want to talk about the NetBIOS enumeration tools. So NetBIOS enumeration tools explore and scan the network within a given range of IP addresses and list of the computers to identify security loopholes or flaws in the networked system. So these tools also enumerate the operating systems, users, groups, security identifiers, password policies, services, service packs, and host hotfixes as well. Maybe the NetBIOS shares transport sessions, disk, and security event logs, etc. So you will get a lot of information. So there are a lot of tools that we can use. So the first tool which we will use, that will be the NetBIOS enumerator, right? Obviously we will have a quick, you can say in the next upcoming session you will get the exact hands-on lab demonstration, so you will get the lot of clarity about these particular tools. Along with a NetBIOS enumerator, you can also use a global network inventory, advanced IP scanner, HINA, or maybe NS auditor, network security auditor, right? So there are a lot of tools. We will have a demonstration, so you don't need to worry about that. Okay, so the next topic is SNMP enumeration, right? So the simple network management protocol allow network administrator to manage network device from a remote location. SNMP has many security vulnerabilities, such as a lack of auditing, right? And there are a lot of things we will discuss in the SNMP enumeration lab demonstration. But attackers may take advantage of these vulnerabilities to perform accounts and device enumeration. So basically, in this particular topic, we will describe or we will learn SNMP enumeration, the information extracted via the SNMP enumeration and various SNMP enumeration tools used to enumerate user accounts and device on the target system. So SNMP is an application layer protocol that runs on a UDP and maintains uh, and manage or routers, hubs, and switches on the IP network. So SNMP agents runs on Windows and Unix networks on the networking devices. So if I just talk about the SNMP enumeration, so it is the process of creating a list of users accounts and device on a target computer using SNMP. And SNMP employs two types of software components for communication, that is SNMP agent and SNMP management station. So the SNMP agent is located on the networking device, and the SNMP management station communication communicates with the agent actually. So almost all the network infrastructure devices such as routers, switches, contains an SNMP agent for managing the system or devices, and the SNMP management station sends requests to the agents. After receiving the request, the agent replies, right? So both the request and replies will be configuration variable accessible by the agent software, and SNMP management station sends requests to the set values to some variables, and traps let the management station know if an abnormal event such as a reboot or an interface failure has occurred at the agent side, right? Agent sides. So SNMP contains the some two passwords for configuring and accessing the SNMP agent from the management station, right? Like read community strings, maybe read write community strings. So these two kind of, first the read community string and the second is read write community string. So this can be happen. So when the administrators leave the community strings at the default setting, then the attacker can use these default community strings for changing or viewing the configuration of the device or system. The community strings mean I'm just talking about the password, right? So attackers enumerate SNMP to extract information about the network resource such as host, routers, device, and shares, as well as network information such as ARP table, routing tables, device specific information, and the traffic statistics. So SNMP enumeration tools are used to scan a single IP address or range of IP addresses of SNMP enabled network device to monitor, diagnose, and troubleshoot security threats, right? So there are a lot of tools which you can use. The first tool may be SNMP check, which we will use because that is a nice tool. I will also recommend to you that we can use SNMP check, maybe soft perfect network scanner. Again, that is again a good tool. Network performance monitor, right? Op utils, PRTG network monitor, then engineer tool set. So there are, there are a lot of tools which we can use. Well, the next topic is LDAP enumeration. So, various protocol enable the communication and manage data transfer between the network resources. So, all these protocols carry valuable information about the network resource along with the data. So, an external user who successfully enumerates that information by manipulating the protocols can break into the network and may misuse the network resources. So, the lightweight directory access protocol is one such protocol that accesses the directory listing, right? So yeah, in this particular whenever we will going to demonstrate this particular lab section of this LDAP enumeration, we will focus on LDAP enumeration, the information extracted via the LDAP enumeration and the LDAP enumeration tools. So basically, which we need to understand, LDAP is an internet protocol for accessing the distributed directory services, and LDAP accesses the directory listing within the Active Directory or from other directory services. So LDAP is a hierarchical or logical form of a directory similar to a company's organizational chart. So directory services may provide any organized set of records, often in a hierarchical and logical structure, such as a corporate email directory or something like that. So it uses DNS for quick lookups and the fast resolution of queries. And the client starts an LDAP session by connecting to a directory system agent, typically on a TCP port 389, and sends an operation request to the DSA, that is directory system agent. So the basic encoding rules format will be used to transmit information between the client and the server. So the attacker can anonymously query the LDAP service for sensitive information such as username, addresses, departmental details, and server names, which an attacker can use to launch attacks. Well, if I just talk about the LDAP enumeration tools, so there are many LDAP enumeration tools that access the directory listing within the Active Directory or the other directory services. Using these tools, attacker can enumerate information such as valid usernames, addresses, and departmental details from different LDAP servers. So we can use Softera, LDAP administrator, maybe Ad Explorer, LDAP admin tool, LDAP account manager, maybe LDAP search, and a lot of tools which we will discuss in the LDAP enumeration lab demonstration. Okay, so the next is NTP enumeration. So NTP is designed to synchronize clock of networked computers. So it uses UDP port 123 as its primary means of communication. So NTP can maintain time within the error of 10 milliseconds over the public internet. So it can achieve an accuracy of 200 microseconds or better in LAN under ideal conditions. So basically, if I just talk about some enumeration tools, or maybe I see there are a lot of commands which will help you in for the NTP commands. If I just talk about, so it will help you in Linux environment to manage your NTP protocol, or you can say network time protocol, right? But if I just talk about the network tools, then these tools are used to monitor and working of NTP and SNTP servers in the network and help in the configuration and verification of connectivity from the time client to the NTP servers. So there are a lot of tools which we will use in our NTP enumeration. Like PRTG Network Monitor is really a nice tool which we can use for the NTP enumeration. Then we will also use Nmap, maybe Wireshark, UDP Proto Scanner, or maybe the NTP Server Scanner as well. So yep, there will be a lot of tools which we will use in the lab demonstration of enumeration of NTP. Well, the next topic will be NFS enumeration. So NFS is a type of file system that will enable users to access, view, store, and update files over a remote server. So these remote data can be accessed by the client in the same way it is accessed on the local system. So depending on the privileges and assigned to the clients, they can either only read or maybe the both read and write the data. So NFS, that means network file system, right? But if I just talk about enumeration of this, so enumerating NFS service enables attackers to identify the exported directories list of clients connected to the NFS servers along with their IP addresses and the shared data associated with the IP addresses. So after gathering these informations, then the attacker can spoof their IP addresses to gain full access to the shared file on the server. Well, next, like NTP enumeration tools, we are having NFS enumeration tools as well. So there are a lot of tools which we can use because NFS enumeration tools scan a network within a given range of IP addresses or a single IP addresses to identify the NFS services running on it. So these tools also assist in obtaining a list of RPC services using port map and the list of NFS shares and a list of directories accessible through NFS. So they allow downloading a file shared through an NFS server. So attacker use tools such as RPC scan and super enum to perform NFS enumeration. So we will also have a look into these tools when we will perform NFS enumeration lab demonstration. So the next topic is SMTP enumeration. So when we will perform this particular enumeration, so this section will describe enumeration techniques to extract information related to the network resources. It will also covers DNS enumeration techniques that yield information about the DNS servers and network infrastructure of the target organization. So this section discusses both SMTP and DNS enumeration techniques, covering SMTP enumeration, the process of updating the list of valid users on SMTP server, SMTP enumeration tools, DNS zone transfer enumeration, or DNS cache snooping, and DNS zone walking as well. But if I just talk about SMTP enumeration specifically, so mail system commonly use SMTP with POP3 and IMAP, which enable users to save messages in the server mailbox and download them from the server when necessary. So SMTP use mail exchange servers to direct mail via the DNS, and it runs on TCP port 25, 2525 or A587, right? So these three ports can be used: 25, maybe 2525 or 587. Well, if I just talk about the SMTP tools, or you can say SMTP enumeration tools, so I will use Nmap, Metasploits, and other tools, right, which we can use in SMTP enumeration techniques. But along with that, we will also use NetScan Tools Pro, right, or we will also use some different kind of tools to get the information about the SMTP enumeration. So the next is DNS enumeration using zone transfer. So actually DNS zone transfer is the process, right, of transferring a copy of DNS zone file from the primary DNS server to secondary DNS server. And in the most cases, the primary DNS server maintains a backup or secondary server for redundancy, which holds all the information stored in the primary server. So the DNS server uses zone transfer to distribute changes made to the maintained main server to the secondary server. So attackers performs DNS zone transfer enumeration to locate the DNS server and access records of the target organization. So if the DNS server of the target organization allows zone transfers, then attackers can perform DNS zone transfer to obtain DNS server names, host names, machine names, user names, IP addresses, aliases, etc. assigned within the target domain. So in the DNS enumeration using zone transfer, the attacker attempts to retrieve a copy of an entire zone file for domain from the DNS server, and attackers can also perform the DNS zone transfer using tools such as nslookup, dig command, DNS recon, or etc. So if the DNS transfer setting is enabled on the target name server, then it will provide you the DNS information, else it will return the error stating it has failed or refused the zone transfer. Well, if I just talk about some tools related with the DNS, so as I have told you earlier that we will use the dig command, maybe nslookup, maybe DNS recon, or maybe you can use also the harvester as well. So there are a lot of tools which we can use in the DNS enumeration using zone transfer technique. So in the end, we will discuss about the enumeration countermeasures. Before we proceed, I also wanted to let you know that there are some other enumeration techniques is there, like IPsec enumeration, VoIP enumeration, RPC enumeration, Unix Linux user enumeration, Telnet enumeration, SMB enumeration, FTP enumeration, TFTP enumeration, IPv6 enumeration, maybe BGP enumeration is there. So whenever we will go through the lab demonstration, we will also discuss these kind of enumeration techniques as well, right? For now, we are just discussing the enumeration countermeasures. So thus far, we have we have learned the enumeration techniques and tools. Obviously, tools we will have a look into the lab demonstration. So it will be used to extract valuable information from the target we will discuss the countermeasure that can prevent attackers from the enumerating sensitive information from the network or host. So, actually, this section focuses on the methods for avoiding the information leakage through SNMP, DNS, SMTP, LDAP, SMB, NFS, and the FTP enumeration as well. So, I have just gave you the SNMP, LDAP, NFS countermeasures on my screen right now. Then I have also added SMTP, SMB, and FTP countermeasures as well. And these are some other DNS enumeration countermeasures as well, right? So there are 15 points which we need to understand. So I have added in my slide. So yes, you can also go through this enumeration countermeasures process.